You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a trunk, just like Jim. It's more to life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more to life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club, light some bottles, impress them girls. It's more to life.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And today I'm coming at you with more maddening Madden rankings. But first, I want to clear up some misinformation I had on the last podcast pertaining to the safety ratings. Because on that previous podcast I had, there was some confusion there on the Honey Badger ranking. I was a little surprised that he was the top safety there at a 94 ranking, because I was like, why did he get that top ranking? You know, why did he? Why was he above all those other safeties that were like all pro bowlers? Some of them even had better stats than him. You know, because I guess I had forgot that he was actually a Pro Bowler, because I thought he wasn't a Pro Bowler, all pro, Pro Bowl alternate, but he was actually a Pro Bowler. So I just wanted to clear that up, because with all his accolades and things, and even though he did have a good season, I had I guess misremembered that he was actually a safety. But moving on from that, can I get a menu? And let's move on to the next list of rankings that have come out since my last podcast. And let's get to what's come out since then. And since then, we've had a couple more lists that have come out. I think the cornerback ratings and the quarterback ratings and the offensive lineman ratings, and maybe some special teams ratings have come out since then. So and just like I'd said, like right after I'd posted that, of course the cornerback ratings had came out like that same day once I had uploaded that. So let's get to the cornerback top 10. And at number one, no real surprise here, everybody's favorite, Jalen Ramsey is a 98. Jarari Alexander is a 94. Tre'Davious White, LSU hometown boy, is a 93. Denzel Ward, you could also say a hometown boy, because he's a Ohio State guy, so he would fit in just as well, just as good with Marshawn Lattimore if he was here. Darius Slay Jr., a 92. Marshawn Lattimore, a 91. Stephon Gilmore, a 91. J.C. Jackson, a 90. And Marlon Humphrey, 90. And AJ Terrell Jr. and 89. Okay, with this list, I don't think it's really much of a surprise that Jalen Ramsey is a 98. I think a lot of people want to give him flack and talk bad about him, but that's mostly because of his off the field stuff. Not that he's gotten into any kind of criminal stuff off the field, but just the way he talks and the way he dressed. But on the field, he's pretty good. And, you know, anytime he gets beat or burned, everyone's going to highlight that and be like, oh, he's the worst ever. But really, if you watch any kind of cornerback. At some point, they're going to get beat. They're going to get burned, and hell, that applies to Marshawn Lattimore. If you're a Saints fan and watch enough of him, and definitely watched him after his rookie season, he gets beat as well, and it's probably more often than we'd like to say. So definitely, you could argue that he's not the number one cornerback, but if you look at his Pro Bowls and All Pros and his rankings on Pro Football Reference, Pro Football Focus, you could argue it, but you could argue it in the one direction, but you could argue it in the positive direction as well. So, I can't disagree with it too much, but it's the number 2 and the number 3 spot that I have a little bit of a problem with, because, like I said, I've said this before, that I'm not overly forgiving when it comes to injuries. And when it came to Gerari Alexander last year, he missed quite a few games last year. Let's see. So, and I don't really think even before he missed the games last year. Yeah, he only played in 4 games last year, and even before that, he was drafted in 2018, so he'd only been in the league one less season than Marshawn Lattimore, and he'd only been to 1 Pro Bowl in 2020, and then only played in 4 games last year. And Marshawn Lattimore's been to 4 Pro Bowls and then only playing in 4 games last year. You're telling me that Gerari Alexander is the second best cornerback in Madden at a 94, and Marshawn Lattimore is the 6th best cornerback at a 91? I have to disagree with that. Really, if you look at the stats here, he is not even really a ball hawk either. I guess you can't really say that that's the only parameter for saying that a corner is good or not. But in his 4 seasons, which I kind of got to mark off last year as not really much of a season because he only played in 4 games, but it's a season. He didn't play in it, but still, I'm going to say in his 4 seasons, he only has 5 total interceptions. So that's really not very impressive. But still, with that being said, he's the number 2 cornerback on this list. I can't agree with that at all. But then I can live with this one a little bit more for this reason alone, because Tre'Davious White was actually swaying me a little bit before he got hurt as well, because I actually was starting to think that Tre'Davious White was the better cornerback than Marshawn Lattimore, because they were taken in the same draft. Marshawn Lattimore was they were both taken in the 2017 draft, and Marshawn Lattimore was taken 11th overall. Of course, Patrick Mahomes was taken 1 pick ahead of us. Still Marshawn Lattimore a great pick, but then Tre'Davious White was taken 27th overall. But I was starting to think, a lot of people, anytime Marshawn Lattimore would have a bad game or even a bad season, a lot of Saints fans or media people would kind of say, "Oh, well, Saints should have traded down and maybe taken Tre'Davious White." Well, yeah, that's that in a perfect world that'd have been great, but I was even starting to say that even over Jalen Ramsey, that Tre'Davious White was the best cornerback in the league, and in his 5 seasons, including last year, he had 16 interceptions. 16 interceptions to Jerry Alexander's 5. So even with him only playing, and he actually played in 11 games for some reason, I thought he played in a lot less games than that. And I think if the Buffalo Bills would have had him for their playoff run last year, I think they would have ended up in the Super Bowl over the Cincinnati Bengals. So even though he was hurt last year, uh, I I'm actually kind of okay with him being at the 3 spot. Uh, but it's kind of hard to say. It's almost like I want him to be like at the 2 spot and Lattimore at the 3 spot almost, or even have them kind of interchangeable almost. And then kind of the other one that I kind of don't like is kind of Stephon Gilmore at number 7 because hell, he almost because he's a Carolina Panther, I guess. That's not really why, but he seems like he's kind of I don't know. I don't know if I want to say it's because he's old and washed, but uh, I don't know really what I want to say about that. Let's see. How old is he now? He's about by the time the season starts, he'll be 32 years old, and he only played in 8 games last year. But even in the 8 games he played, he had 2 interceptions. So who knows? He could come back, and if he plays anywhere near what he played at when he was Defensive Player of the Year, even with only playing in those 8 games with Carolina, he must have been a Pro Bowl alternate. So uh, I guess that was a reasonable ranking for him, even at number 7, because he's earned it just off of veteran presence and history. So I guess this list is reasonable, but I still believe that Jaire Alexander, if nothing else, is rated a little high because he hasn't been in the league as long as Marshawn Lattimore and Tre'Davious White, and he it hasn't shown to be a ball hawk, and he's only a one-time Pro Bowl compared to Marshawn Lattimore's 4. So that's really my only gripe with the cornerback list. Okay, let's move on to the quarterback list now. And number 1, we have Tom Brady. Number 2, we have Aaron Rodgers. Number 3, we have Patrick Mahomes. Number 4, we have Josh Allen. Number 5, we have Joe Burrow. At number 6, we have Dak Prescott. Number 7, we have Justin Herbert. Number 8, we have Russell Wilson. Number 9, we have Lamar Jackson. And at number 10, we have Matthew Stafford. And on the previous podcast, I pretty much outright said that you could argue that Tom Brady, since like his 2007 season, he had like arguably his best season last year. So is it that big of a surprise that he's number 1 to me? Not really, but do I think he should be number 1? On the same vein, I don't really think he should be number 1 because I mean, literally, Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, and then Josh Allen, just off of talent wise, is kind of showing his true colors as probably the best quarterback in the league, maybe, and also Patrick Mahomes is still there as well. Before them, he was literally just like a year ago. Everyone thought he was the prodigy, and no one was on his level, but he's come back down to earth a little bit, and now the Chiefs have traded away one of his number one targets in Tyreek Hill. But I think just it's kind of just jammed up there with Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. I think all those guys are kind of interchangeable. So I think just those guys being a 97, 96, 95, but then it's just kind of a drop off to 92 there for Josh Allen. I think he should probably be a 95 right there with Josh Allen. But then really maybe my only gripe with this is maybe Matthew Stafford being an 85 at number 10, because I mean he was the Super Bowl MVP, but I kind of think Matthew Stafford is a lot of people think he's underrated, but I think he's a little bit overrated, because even though he won the Super Bowl and he was the Super Bowl MVP, I think he has a little bit of that turnover gene in him, because I mean he led the league in interceptions, he led the league in pick sixes. They easily could have not even made the Super Bowl if Jaquiski Tart would have ended that would-be game-sealing interception by the 49ers, but just dropped it on the turf there. I still respect Matthew Stafford enough to think that his rating should be a little bit higher than what it is. But I don't have too much argument with this list. I think it's just a little bit jammed up there at the top, where it could just be honestly just kind of interchangeable there. But my issue with this list is not the overall rankings, but it is let's see my list. List refreshed on me. Pull it back up. Yeah. Okay. Is my QB power is this is where my concerns are. So my QB power list, it's not my overall list, but it's my QB power. This is where I got some concerns here. So this is where I may get a little fired up here. So the top 10 QB throw power list. So we got Josh Allen number one at 99. So yeah, that's pretty believable there. Patrick Mahomes number two at 97. Justin Herbert 96. Matthew Stafford 95. Zach Wilson 94. Malik Willis 94. Baker Mayfield 94. Aaron Rodgers 93. Deshaun Watson 93. And Sam Howell 93. Okay. So Saints fans, who are we missing here? My issue is there's no Jameis Winston on this top list here. I mean, my biggest issue is that Jameis Winston isn't on this list, but it's really that we got some young guys that are ahead of him. Really, I mean, we got Zach Wilson at number 5 that's ahead of him. And then we got these two rookie quarterbacks. We got Malik Willis at number 6, a rookie. And then we got really like Sam Howell. We got Sam Howell at number 10 at a 93. And then we got number 7, we got Baker Mayfield. I mean, come on. You got to be kidding me. I mean, out of everything, I mean, I haven't seen the full stat list of what Jameis Winston what his full, like what his throw power is exactly. But I mean, come on, you got to be kidding me. Out of everything Jameis Winston does, when protected and not under pressure, that's the best thing he does is throw a deep ball. He throws one of the prettiest deep balls in the league. If he's got a receiver running wide open, Deontay Harris or Marquez Callaway like last year, he throws one of the prettiest deep balls. And you're telling me that a second year player like like Zach Wilson or a rookie like Malik Willis or Sam Howell or even Baker Mayfield should have better throwing power than him? Like, come on, you got to be kidding me. Like that's some disrespect right there. Like I just that's just I don't know. I just don't have much this. I'm just lost for words basically for that. Jameis disrespect. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by it very much, but I do have Jameis Winston's overall quarterback ranking, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty, and Jameis Winston's overall quarterback ranking, and it's not even close to the top 10 in the overall quarterback ranking list. I don't know where it would stand, but I'm sure it's not very high on the list. And Jameis Winston's quarterback ranking is a 76. And that's not good. That's not good. That's probably why his quarterback power, throw power is not very high, because if it was high, that would bring his quarterback overall up high, and they couldn't do that. We know they couldn't do that, Saints fans. If they did that, then that would raise his overall up high. And I was hoping that, I wasn't expecting a lot from Madden when it came to Jameis Winston's quarterback ranking. I wasn't expecting it to be like a 90 or anything, or even like an 85, but I was hoping maybe at least an 80. I mean, come on, something respectable, but a 76 like that's not very nice. But and there's not a lot you can do. I mean, the only thing that you can do is hope Jameis goes out there and early on goes out there and performs and puts up good numbers. And that first update, Madden update, they raise that number up. So that's about all you can do with that. So that's all you can really do when it comes to that. All right, let's move on to the last list, top 10 list that I have at least. Let's see. So last top 10 list is offensive linemen. And so the top 10 offensive linemen is number 1 is Trent Williams at a 99. Zach Martin, number 2, Zach Martin at a 98. Number 3, Quentin Nelson at a 95. Number 4, Tyron Smith at a 95. Number 5, David Bakhtiari at a 94. Number 6, our ex-guy, Tyron Armstead, 93. He's Dolphin now. 97, or number 7, Lane Johnson at a 92. Tristan Wirf, 91. Corey Lindsey, 91. And Ryan Jensen, a 90. So these are all kind of mixed up here. And these aren't just like offensive tackles or offensive guards or center. Some of these are kind of mixed up because, I mean, Trent Williams, who is a 99, is a tackle. Zach Martin, who's a 98, who's the number 2, is a guard. Number 3, who's our Quentin Nelson is a guard. Tyron Smith's a tackle. David Bakhtiari's a tackle. So they're kind of mixed up between looks like guards and let's see, the only one that's on here, I think I know for sure that's the center is Ryan Jensen. But there's no Saints that are in the top 10. The only one that's an ex-Saint is Teron Armstead. But I mean, I'm just going to go straight to it when it comes back. It basically comes back to injuries, and it kind of reflects to the same it's basically the Michael Thomas syndrome, and kind of the same story with Ryan Ramczyk as well, because he dealt with injuries too, and just like I said, injuries shouldn't really project. You shouldn't get really much of a pass due to injuries, and I'll just get into that, and it has to do with David Bakhtiari, and he's here at number 5 here, and he's just kind of just like Michael Thomas. He's missed about a year and a half now of football, and even with that, he's at number 5. He's a 94 on this list, rated a 94 on this, and just like Michael Thomas and Marcus Davenport, he just got put on the PUP list before training camp, and even with all that, he is rated a 94 on this list. Yeah, for some reason, if you play for another team, even if you miss a year and a half of football or 2 years of football due to injuries, for some reason it doesn't matter. But if you're a Saint and you miss a year and a half, 2 years of football, it doesn't affect your rating in Madden. It's quite curious for some reason. I don't seem to understand that. But in that same breath, we have Ryan Ramczyk, who's an all pro offensive tackle himself, and he missed 10 games last year, and he's not in the top 10, but he is the 10th player on this list is a 90, and he missed 10 games. Ryan Ramczyk missed 10 games, and he is an 89, so that would put him close to being like the 11th, 12th player on this list. So obviously injuries affected him, but it doesn't affect David Bakhtiari for some reason. I find that very curious how Saints players get affected when they're injured, but non-Saints players aren't. So that's something I find kind of interested and kind of curious. But I think if you're a lifelong New Orleans Saints fan, you've probably figured out these biases by now. And then the other one I kind of want to hint on, but this is a little different. This is let's see. This has to do with Zach Martin, actually, and this has to do with things you hear about Zach Martin and him possibly being a Hall of Famer, and he has had a really great career, and he played. People were a little concerned about him having injuries the year before last, but he played a full 16, or wasn't full season. It would have been if it was the year before last. He played 16 games, so he missed one game. I'm not sure if that was due to COVID or an actual injury, but he played 16 games, so that's close to a full season. and he was a Pro Bowl All-Pro. And people, pretty much all media outlets and all Cowboy fans say that he's going to be a first team Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. And man, if that comes to fruition where he's a first team Hall of Famer, one thing I know about that, and I know this is a little bit off schedule, off the beaten path here. I know I'm getting off 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 the reins here, off kind of off the off subject a little bit here, but if he gets in the Hall of Fame before Ja'Rari Evans, I'm gonna be upset about that because uh, Ja'Rari Evans uh, Ja'Rari Evans is also Ja'Rari Evans is also a Hall of Famer, or is also one, two, three, four, a four-time All-Pro. One, two, three, four, five, six-time Pro Bowler as well. And on top of that is a Super Bowl champion. And the likelihood of the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl is highly unlikely. I think we all know that. And this isn't any cowboy hate. This is just being honest. And so just because you're playing for the Cowboys shouldn't give you any more merit or any kind of, no pun intended, gold stars or stars that bump up your chances of getting to the Hall of Fame. So if by some chance that Zach Martin gets in the Hall of Fame over Ja'Rari Evans, who's been retired for a couple of years now, that would be a disgrace, in my opinion. So that's all I really have to say about that. And then other offensive linemen, other notable offensive lineman ranking on there would be Eric McCoy, that didn't really show up there, as that I thought was a little low. He was a 79, and I think Eric McCoy, he's really good, and I guess can't really hate on his ranking all that much, because just like a lot of these players, a lot of these players that I've been mentioning, it's because they've been hurt and things like these, that I think their rankings have been lowered quite a bit. And he missed the first 3 or 4 games of the season due to what I think, an ankle injury, and so maybe that's why it hurt his ranking a little bit, and he was only a 79. I think because when he's playing, he is fringe Pro Bowler, in my opinion. And I think without the injury, I think that he probably should have been close to maybe like an 85, 82, somewhere around there. But I think maybe just the injury maybe kept that from coming to fruition. But then okay, let's see if I can find my kicker list here. Next, my last list here. right. Okay, the top 10 kickers overall. Number one is Justin Tucker at a 90, Harrison Bucker at an 84. Number three, Evan McPherson at an 83. Young Ho Koo at an 82. Number five, Chris Boswell at an 82. Number six, Graham Gano at an 81. Number seven, Daniel Carlson at an 81. Number eight, Robbie Gold at an 80. Number nine, Matt Gay at a 79. And number 10, Brandon McManus at a 78. Really, I think it's really no surprise that Justin Tucker is a 90. The main thing that I'm really happy the main name that I'm really happy to not see on here is Mason Crosby, which I'm surprised just off of status and name recognition. I'm a little surprised that he's not on here, but I'm glad that he's not on here because, man, he had a horrible season. If the Packers find any kind of capable rookie or younger player or some player off of someone else's practice squad in the offseason, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get replaced or cut by the Packers during training camp and or during preseason because he had a horrible season. So I'm just happy out of just reasonable common sense that he's not on this list. And once again, just off of injuries, the fact that Will Lutz didn't this shows you this I keep bringing up injuries for the Saints. This continues to I think by now you're realizing how injured the Saints were because I keep having to bring up why some of these Saints players that I keep talking about with Will Lutz, once again, why some of these Saints players that are such good players normally aren't ranked as high as they should be because he would probably be on this list if he wasn't injured the entire year. He'd probably be in this top 10, but I don't really have much to say about this list, much argument at all. Young Hoyoku, he's at an 82. He's the guy that we always see. Could always put him higher because he's always. I don't know if I ever seen Young Hoku for the Falcons ever miss a kick against the Saints. They put him at a 90. But Will Lutz, he was at a 78. So even with him missing the whole season, with him being at a 98, that would literally put him at the top 10. That would put Will Lutz at the top 10 because Brandon McManus was number 10 on this list. So I mean, literally, even with him missing the whole season, he would be top 10 on this list as well, right with Brandon McManus. So honestly, with all that, I couldn't really complain that much. So no complaints with the top 10 kicker list either. And then I couldn't really find I couldn't find any of the top 10 lists for punter. I couldn't find a top 10 list for punter, but Blake Gilligan was a 77. And just like with the kicker list, I would imagine that would put him probably in the top 10, which I would agree that's probably pretty respectable for a rookie because he was a rookie punter last year. So I would think that's pretty good. He had a really good season last year, and like I said, he's pretty. I would imagine most fans and even most media people don't really even know who he is, even with the great season he had last year. But I think that's respectable considering. And top 10 for a guy that was a rookie last year, I'll take that. And then I think who was it? I think our fullback, Adam Pierce was Adam Prentice. What was like a 76. So no, he was a 67. So I don't even know where that would rank him. Adam Prentice was a 67, so he's definitely at the bottom of the list. I didn't see a top 10 for that. It might just be on a running back list, so I would say he's at the bottom of the list for all that. So I don't know. I wouldn't get too upset about that because he doesn't really put up any stats but blocking. But other than that, I don't have too many arguments. The only main thing that got me too upset on most of that would just been the throwing power for Jameis Winston, because we all know he throws a beautiful deep ball, and but other than that, I don't think I have much more for you. So with that, can I get a check, please?